So this is what I don't understand about Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock been around for a long time. Jason Whitlock is not new to media or especially sports media. And so watching him go in such a different direction now is kind of odd, right? He's literally turned himself into a blogger, if you will, but not just a blogger, like a really hardcore conservative. And I really think a lot of it has to do with what he was doing as a sports journalist. And so as a sports journalist, it seemed like the plan was to go out of your way to offend people. And as long as you can offend people, you can get people to support your brand. And I think, of course, he did that for a long time. He was able to get away with it for a long time. It worked. But as with anything like that, it's going to come to an end. And I mean, Jason Whitlock is one of those who, like, in terms of like sports, I don't know if he ever really had a meaningful take or a good take on anything. It seemed like he was always trying to do the trigger people thing. And so I want to take a look at some of his clips as they interact from politics to sports, because he's made this amazing shift now to politics, and he only seemingly dibble dabbles in sports. He doesn't even really do sports anymore. It's more about the politics and trying to tap into the social issues and running with the black fatigue thing and all of that type of stuff.
Blood in, blood out. Trump in, Trump out. This is a gang. And I hate to use that analogy, but
sheesh. Yeah, wow. That's a wild way to get started there. This is a gang. Trump gang.
And I hate to use that analogy, but right now, if I just went with gut feeling, blood in, blood out. Trump in, Trump out. This is a gang. And I hate to use that analogy, but I'm not coming up off of this. Part of my thinking has been flawed, that Trump off
left, the Democrats, the left. But do you have to really know anything these days politically, as you say, the Democrats, 100 times? Like, do you actually have to know anything?
This big political shift, a reset of politics, and now we were actually going to have a chance with Trump out of the way to reinstall some morality, some biblical values to American culture. Didn't happen. And so now I'm watching people, I feel like, that are demoralized, and they're jumping off the Trump train. And if what I thought was going to happen in the midterms had happened, I'd be jumping off the Trump train. I would be looking at Ron DeSantis, and then I would be looking over at the Democratic Party and expecting them to adjust and expecting them to put forth a reasonable candidate who reflected my values. I expected that come 2024, we would have reasonable choices on both sides because of the overwhelming avalanche that I anticipated having last week in those midterm elections.
And see, again, what we're talking about here is somebody who's already in the tank. You are a fan of Trump. You were never like, on the fence about it or anything like that. And I think that's the bad part about a lot of these dudes. They're not really honest about, their position. You know what I'm saying? Like you're a Trump supporter and you Trump all the way. And you're not even thinking about voting for anybody else. It's not even a thought to look at another candidate, and that's fine. I mean, just be honest about it. But again, y'all can't hear me, or you can't hear it. You said it's buffering or something. Let me stop it and put it back up on the screen. I didn't hear it, making no mistake, but I guess it's possible. All right.
I thought we'd have DeSantis, and I thought we'd have a reasonable Democrat person with some biblical values. But these midterms have made me say, we're not. We're going to get more of the same. Joe Biden or Gavin Newsom or someone worse is going to be represented on the left. And right now, I'm just sorry, I'm not there yet with Ron DeSantis because
So it's like I think what I see here with this dude, he did kind of the same thing with sports, and I really didn't realize that. But like he takes these bad takes and tries to build off of the bad take because people ain't gonna like it. You know what I'm saying? You know the things you saying will actually get you a little bit of attention versus you just getting attention saying something, that you actually mean. Like I really think he does have to reach and do all this extra stuff just for that extra attention.
just don't see enough blowback and pushback against him to make me think that he's not part of the establishment. We keep seeing the same thing happen over and over and over and over again. Occupy Wall Street was this big movement, and we were going to stamp out Wall Street corruption. And the establishment ended up putting Occupy Wall Street down. And I wasn't on board. I was just watching Occupy Wall Street. Well, that's interesting. They're up against Wall Street. I didn't know what to think because, again, at that time, I'm not following politics that close. When the Tea Party cooked up, I wasn't that passionate about it because, again, I wasn't following politics that close, but the Tea Party rose up, the establishment, corporate media shot it down and made everybody think if you're involved with the Tea Party, you're a member of the KKK. Now here we come to Make America Great Again, and I see it all over again.
See it all over.
Everybody with MAGA, they're flaming racist. They tried to insurrect the country and overthrow the government without firing a shot. Ashley Babbitt threw her neck and body at this whole system in an attempt to try to overthrow the government. She got shot and killed by a Capitol Police officer, and that was our insurrection. And anybody that was there or involved in that is one of the worst people on the planet. And Donald Trump and the whole MAGA movement started. They tried to overthrow the country. It was the worst day in the history of America. It's worse than 9/11. It's worse than Pearl Harbor. And they've shot down the MAGA movement. That's the establishment. And when I say the establishment, I'm talking about what Royce White constantly talks about, the uniparty. The left and the right working together to keep the status quo going. The elites.
Right. So why do you then get to come back and separate liberals when it's beneficial? Because like sometimes I just think it's a lot of double talk that works. Sometimes it's the same person that will be sitting there celebrating the conservatives while, pointing out the liberals as the only problem, as if there are no problems on the conservative side, right? I don't get it.
Republicans aren't going to save this country. The Democrats aren't going to save this country. Men who believe in God are our only hope. God is the only thing that's going to save this country. We're in total free fall. There's no reason to respect any of these typical politicians. The reason why many of us were attracted to Donald Trump is because he wasn't a typical politician. He was very flawed, but you could actually believe what he said, even though he was a flawed man. Most of these politicians are not. A lot of the American public thinks that religious faith is optional in this country. It's just not. I'm not telling everybody they got to believe what I believe.
Religious faith is not optional in this country. That's what I'm saying, man. I think it was always about going to a platform and giving some crazy take, like saying something that's going to get you noticed. Like that's pretty dumb.
But this country ran a lot better when the culture respected God and had a fear of God and felt like it answered to God. You just wouldn't get on TV and tell the kind of lies he was telling and just brush it off as, hey, the voters are too stupid. I don't even owe them an explanation.
Yeah, Jason, just that blatant disrespect. And your point is such a powerful and important one about that erosion of the spiritual foundation in this country and the danger when you have politicians who think that they are God and that they are the ones in control, and that lack of a moral compass that goes with that. Thanks so much for your really, really thoughtful and important comments, Jason. I appreciate your
Tulsi,
voice
I'd just
so
like
much.
to add one last thing. If I could add one last thing, people want to be on the right side of history, and that's just the wrong standard. You need to be on the right side of God. History is written by whoever wins. George Santos thinks he's
See what I'm saying? So, dude started to jump into this political realm. Now it's God this, God that. Like, some of that don't matter if you taking like sports into consideration. When we talking sports, we not talking God and all of this other stuff. And I think again, this is where, it bothers me that this is where these people came to. They came to YouTube. Like, he should have stayed on TV. You know what I'm saying? They came on YouTube and got in the way for real.
Going to win. Democrats on the left think they're going to win. They're going to write history. It's just not true. You need to be on the right side of God if we're going to save this country.
Thank you so much, Jason.
From KCMO, Nick Wright. McIntyre, let's start with you and the most interesting story on your website this week. Most interesting story on the big league. Give it to us.
All right, guys, let me explain this. A high school basketball game in Kansas City is causing some outrage after students of Warrensburg High School turned their backs on their opponents, center high, during pregame introductions. One Warrensburg student then held up a Trump sign, which some are claiming was a racist gesture directed at center's all-African-American team. Whitlock, is this fan behavior out of line?
I think this is complicated. I like what Tully Colquhoun wrote on your website, not trying to demonize either side, but trying to explain, listen, there is a history of sports fans for years. I think of the Missouri Antlers at the University of Missouri program, where they troll the other team. They think of whatever will bother the other team, they shout it at the opponent. And so I can see some rural kid and say, hey, black people don't like Trump. Let me bring a Trump sign. And so I think it's brought out in that vein. I'm not sure if it's necessarily racist or out of line, but
like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? These are the types of things that you really can't even do on TV no more. I think this is why, like, he don't really like black people like that. Because, like, these types of things don't even fly on TV no more. People gonna look at you crazy for even going on TV saying this. You know what I mean? So, like, I think he greatly benefits just from people not discussing these types of things no more. Like, Jason Whitlock has always been a problem, in my opinion, but he never really went outside the sports realm. You know what I'm saying? Now he's trying to make himself more into a political pundit, but this is the goal. Right, the goal is to gaslight black people, not necessarily to be a proven person that knows politics.
Again, one of the reasons why I asked Nick to come on is because Nick's from Kansas City. I spent 16 years in Kansas City, would know the history of these schools. What is your take?
It's obviously racial animus, like it's racially motivated. There's a 0% chance he does this if it's an all-white team. Like, we all know that. There's no counter argument. This is, it doesn't have to be a Supreme Court case. You don't have to throw the kid out of school. But we can all acknowledge this was a kid racially taunting an all-black school. And, Jason, you mentioned our history in Kansas City.
Yeah, it shouldn't take, like, a white dude to get up there and tell you that, though. You know what I'm saying? That's like the sad part and the failure of Jason Whitlock. Like, it shouldn't take a white dude to get up there and tell you that no, you should be looking at this as a racial issue. How are you not? Shouldn't take a white man to say that.
And people a few years ago when the University of Missouri had the protest, people don't know the history of that state. Here is Missouri. You have Kansas City, as segregated as any city in the country. Truce divides the white town and the black town. You have St. Louis, almost as segregated as any city in the country. And then you have everywhere else in Missouri, which is overwhelmingly white. So on that college campus, you have kids who have 68% of the kids are from Missouri. You have kids that are from segregated areas, which led to, I would say, the unrest at the University of Missouri. But how? Go ahead.
You're broadening the topic a little bit more than we're going to the University of Missouri. And I made the Amherst reference, but I'm trying to figure out, in terms of the racial animus, there's a lot of comedy, a lot of what you see over Twitter is racially motivated and racially driven, but it's not out of bounds.
Okay, but this is like, if I bring a banana to a baseball game.
No, Donald Trump's not a banana.
Oh, well, hold on a second. If I bring a banana to a baseball game, maybe I'm just low on potassium. But if I throw it at Andrew McCutcheon, I'm being racist. If I have a Trump sign in my yard, maybe I'm just a supporter. If I wave it post-election at a bunch of black kids at my all-white school, it's because I'm being racist. Like,
yeah, why somebody got to tell you that? And again, it's because Jason Whitlock has always wanted to be like this fringe type of person that, you know, that's how you get your views. That's what makes people gravitate to your platform or whatever. But I don't think it works anymore for sports. Like, you know what I'm saying? These types of takes within sports don't sell anymore. Like, you got to actually deal with the sport, and then people actually got access to the athletes themselves now through Twitter and some of the other forms of social media. So you don't really need some of these commentators like you used to. And someone like Jason Whitlock, like I say, it's more of the grip at this point. I want to see what he said about Ohtani, though.
We're in the middle of watching the greatest Shohei on earth, and it is Shohei Ohtani. It's unbelievable what this guy is doing and what he did last night. Home run, double, home run, double. Then they don't pitch for him. They put him on base. They intentionally walk him 5 straight times.
5 straight times.
The game goes 18 innings.
18 innings.
The Dodgers win 6-5.
Dodgers.
We're in the middle of watching real history. We're in the middle of watching a real life Babe Ruth.
Babe Ruth.
None of us, I don't believe any of us, were around when Babe Ruth.
He said Babe Ruth. George Herman Babe Ruth. Interesting. I can't even say wrong, man. I would even say Ohtani is better than Babe Ruth at this point, because Babe Ruth wasn't hitting home runs and pitching at the pace that Shohei Ohtani is. Now, of course, Babe Ruth is a legendary, well-known home run hitter. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Babe Ruth wasn't cranking them out the park, but he wasn't pitching a full game like Ohtani doing. You know what I'm saying? Pitching a full game and then in that same game cranking 2 home runs. And you know what I'm saying? Babe Ruth was not as good as Ohtani. You know what I'm saying? I got to take Ohtani over Babe Ruth.
Was dominating Major League Baseball. We're in the middle of seeing our version of Babe Ruth, maybe a better version of Babe Ruth, and it's Shohei Ohtani. He does that last night. He's going to be the starting pitcher tonight. The Dodgers are in control of this series at 2-1. Shohei pitching tonight can extend this out to 3-1.
All right, so yeah, I don't disagree with him on that. I thought he was
the golden age of America has just begun. To all of the players and fans watching tonight, I know it's been a long and difficult journey. It's been a long season. Starting now, we're going to bring America back. But you have 2 tremendous teams, and get to the game and go out and fight hard and fight fair and let the better team win. And I'm going to enjoy watching it. Thank you and good night.
You ripped Kobe for being an imitator of Michael Jordan. I said everybody is stealing stuff from somebody. You probably, I don't know who it is.
Michael Royko. I've stolen
Chicago.
Yeah, that's my guy. since I was a little kid. And so I've put my own twist on Mike Royko. He is certainly my foundation.
You don't feel Kobe's even put a twist on MJ?
Oh, absolutely not. And he has put a worse twist. He's taken the worst part. He's accentuated. He's turned Michael's good things into a bad thing. Michael was a volume scorer and a volume shooter, but Michael had some self-awareness. Kobe's taken it to the ultimate extreme. I looked at that game last night, and it spoke to everything that I've always thought about Kobe. A narcissistic person who pleasures himself at the expense of everyone else. That's Kobe in a nutshell. He spent 20 years in the NBA and never figured out it's a team game and it's about the pleasure of everyone.
But he won 5 titles, so he
Shaq helped him win 3. And he had 2 tremendous 7-footers. You put Powell and Bynum together, and you got a version of Shaq. He had a lot of help. He was not Michael Jordan carrying teams to 5 titles. He wasn't Bill Russell. He wasn't Magic Johnson. He certainly wasn't Larry Bird. Again, I've always, and this is the other thing, people think like that came from out of nowhere. I've been criticizing Kobe for a long time.
What's wrong with shooting 50 times?
It's a team game.
But the whole arena was filled with players who went there.
Yeah, Kobe was wilding though that last night though, man. Like, I know people wanted him to do that shit, but that was outrageous though, fam. He was just firing them up from anywhere. Like Kobe was doing the most that night. that last game, yeah, he just did whatever. Like, it's whatever. We letting it fly.
Or filled with fans who went there solely to see a performance. Nobody wanted to see Julius Randle shoot.
I agree. And you know what? If all season hadn't been just Kobe, do whatever you want to do, if it had just been that one night, hey, Kobe, you know what? For 81 games, you were a team player and you helped us grow these young players. And so tonight we're going to turn it over to you and you go for broke. Totally get it. He had 81 games of that. And then on the 82nd, the refs look the other way. Utah's out of the playoffs. They're half-hearted. And we're all out. So, 50, shot 60 points. Kobe did it his way. And again, to me, everything is about growth and evolution. And that Kobe, to me, lacks self-awareness. And he's never evolved. Michael Jordan didn't end his career this way.
Game, bro. It was his last game. See what I'm saying? These types of takes ain't gonna fly, fam. This shit sounds stupid, bro. Like, I'm not even the biggest Kobe fan, but it's like that's Kobe. That, like, I thought it was fitting that he went out like that. I thought he was doing the most, but that's Kobe doing the most. You know what I'm saying? So, it didn't surprise me that Kobe went out that way. And again, I don't think it hurt his legacy at all. Like, if anything, it was a stamp on his legacy. That's Kobe.
All-time greats don't end their careers that way because they figure out with age and maturity, they get a much broader picture. And it's like, you know what? Not only is this game not about me, this life isn't about me. It's about all the people I can help. It's about what's my legacy going to be and how many people I'm going to leave behind that are going to say, you know what? I was better off from interacting with that person and knowing that person. That's what I don't see from Kobe.
We will have a nation filled with compassion, strength, and acceptance.
Yeah, he just didn't like Kobe, man. That's all.
I like Trump because of his America First agenda, a pledge and a set of policies designed to bring manufacturing jobs back to America.
Like, why do people have to go out and, like, broadcast who they support? Like, and then his hatred and disdain for LeBron James is just, like, I'll never understand why these dudes hate LeBron so much. Like, they really have a personal vendetta with LeBron, like he did to him something personally. Like, it's wild.
My parents were check to check union factory workers. When I hear the slogan, "Make America Great Again," that's what I think of and desire. Juxtapose that to President Joe Biden. At least publicly, he is relatively well behaved. He doesn't say or tweet mean things. Kobe, not to twist your words or read too much into what you said, but being around young players energized you. That's not a statement about maybe you'd like to see some young players on your team?
Wow. You know what? That's a Bikram yoga stretch. You stretched the hell out of it. Good job. Good job. I'm not even going to answer that. That's just silly. Next.
Do you have a super?
Like that's what Jason Whitlock is known for. And so to me, this is why he's almost forced to move on away from the direction of sports into something else, because we'll never forget how Kobe played him. You know what I'm saying? We'll never forget how Kobe shitted on him, fam. So, I mean, I do think that's part of the reason why he's kind of had to move on from just doing sports and kind of open up to doing something else, because he's not recognized and probably would never be recognized as an expert of anything, if we're being real.
Superpower trait? Or are you an average athlete with an average arm in an NFL context? And I think that that's the way a lot of teams look at him. He's not a great athlete. He doesn't have a big arm. So, like, where is the superpower that's going to make you want to take him in the top 5?
How will this guy be able to lead grown men? How will he? Because one thing about Dak, he is solid and stable as meatloaf night on Tuesday. He's reliable, he's sound, he's not flashy, but he never lets you down either, for the most part.
Here's the thing that I would like about Shedeur Sanders. If you get him in the right spot, the tail end of the first round, second or third round, now you'll have a super motivated quarterback. Now you'll have a guy with a chip on his shoulder and something to prove, where I think he's been coddled through junior high, high school, and college by his dad. His dad's coached him, and that's the other red flag. It's like the guy's only been coached.
See, the jury's still out on Shedeur. I just think when it comes to Whitlock, though, like, he against everything that's like black. So, like, sometimes you have to wonder if this is like your real sports take or if this just you going against somebody black. And again, I believe that this hurt his actual chances to continue growth. Like, I really think this hurt him a lot more than he acknowledges, which is why he calls out the woke and the left and all this other shit, because he's not willing to talk about how society has moved on from these stupid gaslighting tactics that you're limited to. It's like he's handcuffed to these stupid tactics, and it is quite limiting for him, it seems. I mean, I don't see where any of this has actually worked to his benefit like that.
By Deion. And that's another red flag for a lot of NFL franchises. Kirby Smart, $13.2 million. Ryan Day, $12.5. Dabo Sweeney, $11.5 million. Dan Lanning, $11 million. Steve Sarkisian, $10.8 billion. Lincoln Riley, $10.1 billion. Kellen DeBoer, $10.25. Deion Sanders, $10 million. Bill Belichick, $10 million. Look at that list. And I don't think, did Kalen DeBoer, someone help me out here, did he lead his previous team to the playoffs? Or I can't, but everybody else has got some real accomplishments on their resume.
Now, Colorado was a terrible, horrible, struggling football program. Say what you want about Coach Prime, but he turned that football program around single-handedly. Now, I believe, and we'll talk more about that as the channel continues, but he don't get enough credit for that. I mean, they were last year, they were one game away. Was it last year? No, 2 years ago. They were one game away from making the college football playoff. Right? Shedeur almost snuck into the college football playoffs. And so again, I think we gotta be mindful of this conversation that's brewing around Shedeur. Like, I try not to be too hard on the conversation when it comes to him. I mean, he's young, of course, but I think he's doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? I do think it's a little more difficult when all eyes are on you because, you come with a name. You know what I'm saying? You come with a brand. You know what I'm saying? His dad is a name. His dad is a brand all by himself, But like with Bronny James, it opens you up to sometimes unfair scrutiny, maybe even unnecessary, because sometimes they just pick on these dudes just because they can. And right now, that's what you kind of see with Shedeur. Like I say, I think it's a lot of cap been put on Shadeur's name. Again, not to say he's a bum or no shit like that, but people's kind of making it seem like he should have been taken in the draft earlier than he was. There was some concerns about when he started and when he should have been starting and whatnot. And again, I just think Shedeur has a lot to prove. You know what I'm saying? He's still got a lot to prove, but it's Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? If it's anywhere you can prove yourself, it's Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? From what I've seen just last year, I don't listen. He's at worst the third round pick, and I'm saying that based on the starts that I've seen him start and the fact that he can put the ball in the air. He made a lot of rookie mistakes, which should be expected. But in terms of a fifth round draft pick, no, they got their money's worth. You know what I'm saying? They got their money's worth, and you could do worse. You know what I'm saying? There are many, many worse options than Shedeur Sanders.
Deion, I believe, is 13-12 at Colorado. And I know many, Colorado was the worst program in the history of college football. No one had ever accomplished what Deion has done in taking over Colorado. They won one game okay, I get it. 13.
Right. Why are you taking from that? That's what I'm saying. These are just bad takes. It's like Jason Whitlock goes out of his way to find the right legitimate take and just simply go against it. You know what I'm saying? The actual legitimate position that typically applies, yeah, he just looks for ways to go against that. It's kind of weak for real. But this is how he made a name for himself. He can't really do anything but troll. And this is kind of a way of trolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of bad because, again, these are his limitations, I think. I don't think he can do much more than this.
And taking over Colorado, they won one game okay, I get it. 13-12. He's getting paid like he's all of these other teams. Sports are a team endeavor, particularly as it relates to basketball and football and whatnot. He's not a golfer. He's not a tennis player. He destroyed a franchise. His narcissism and selfishness destroyed a franchise. The Lakers are a laughingstock and just had the most embarrassing season we've pretty much ever seen an NBA team have. And Jack Nicholson and everybody's sitting at courtside celebrating this, standing ovation. And then we're heaping on more fraudulence to the night. Magic Johnson calling him the greatest Laker. No, he's not. And Magic knows it. Magic.
He going in. Now, it's a part of this I could probably agree with. You know what I'm saying? I do think that I do think there's a lot of cap put on the Kobe brand. And, as the channel continues, I'll definitely be opening up those conversations because, not to take away anything from Kobe's greatness, but I think it's a little cap added to Kobe's greatness. People add a little bit of sauce to it. You know what I'm saying? That maybe doesn't belong. And so, I don't think it's the worst thing ever to do, but I do think it needs to be acknowledged that it is happening. You know what I'm saying? Kobe does greatly benefit a lot of times just from what people say, not necessarily what actually happened for real. Now, he did win those 2 championships outside of Shaq. We give him credit for those. That makes him a legend. He's great for that. But when they start putting him above Mike, putting him in a conversation with Mike, putting him above Bron, it's just cap, fam. That's too much. You know what I mean? Like Kobe would never, could never, will never be above LeBron James. I don't know why people even do that. It makes no sense. That's really like a conversation about Mike and LeBron at this point. It ain't too many others involved in it. And although I do understand the desire to get other people's names in that conversation, they just don't belong. It's a 2-man race at this. Well, I can't say that either because you got Wilt. You know what I'm saying? Wilt definitely can be put in the conversation. If you're talking about adding Bill's coaching endeavors, he could also be put into the conversation. So, it's not cut and dry for everybody, but at this point, I don't see how Kobe is in the conversation. Not for GOAT.
And Kareem are the greatest Lakers. Kobe and Jerry West probably equals, and I know that irritates people that I would even say something like that. But go look. I got to give the guys at Deadspin credit. They ran some stat, value over replacement players during Kobe's 20-year career. He was never number 1. He was never number 2.
Damn.
A lot of times he wasn't even in the top 5. During his own era, there were far better players all the time.
Damn, we got to take a look at that. I don't really look at value over replacement. That's one of those new stats. But yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that and see. I was unaware of that, but I could think of a few times where that would have been like that T-Mac season where he averaged 30. Yeah, that would definitely, matter of fact, I think it was like 32. I'm pretty sure his all of his stats would have been higher than Kobe's that year. And again, those years are forgotten. You know what I'm saying? When Kobe is not considered amongst the top shooting guards in the NBA, he's there next to Shaq and he benefits from that. And that's how most people viewed him. But that's what I'm saying. I don't really disagree with Jason Whitlock when he's not hating on Kobe. Some of this is just hating because of what Kobe did to him.
Kobe ran off Shaquille O'Neal. They could have established one of the greatest dynasties in sports history, but his narcissism and selfishness ran Shaq out. And then he gets to this last night. Oh, the thing I'm most proud of are the down years. The years after I ran Shaq out of town and the franchise was a joke. That's what I'm most proud of because we didn't run. Now, I did go into every offseason threatening to leave the franchise. I did bully Phil Jackson and make him uncomfortable, one of the greatest coaches of all time, write a book and talk about what an idiot I was. And we're all out celebrating this. Oh, Kobe's the great. That game last night was hot garbage.
It segues perfectly with your opening monologue. Look, there is a coalition that has been built of criminals, the mentally unstable, and just bitter people who are being used and funded to short America, to sell out America. The global elites are using these people to promote anarchy in this country and to destroy this country. They want our Constitution rewritten. They want to frame America as a massive failure, and they're using race to cover, to smokescreen their real agenda.
NBA, good read or bad read?
I'm gonna surprise you. It was a good read because it forced the NBA to put rules in place to try to stop the next Allen Iverson from destroying their league. So David Stern institutes a dress code in reaction to Allen Iverson bringing way too much of the hip hop thing to the NBA. One of the biggest lies ever told is that hip hop has somehow been good for the NBA. It hasn't been. It has nothing to do with the values that sports have always built themselves around. Music is rebellious. Hip hop is rebellious. All rock and roll, it's all rebellious. Sports are patriotic. The NBA, everybody loves the NBA. I love the NBA. It could be doing better if it stayed true to true sports values. It could make even more money. Allen Iverson, to me, confused a lot of these young NBA players into thinking they were selling hip hop records instead of selling basketball.
So, listen, man, the dress code being implemented because Allen Iverson is a well-known fact. I still find it hard to believe that, like, why would that be unacceptable though? Like, because I don't think Allen Iverson was wearing nothing to the press conference that he shouldn't have wore. Like, it literally just like was an attack on how the youth were dressing at that time. And a lot of people was cool with that. Yeah, I mean, that's weird, but you know what I'm saying? When you look back at that now, we got to think about, some of those moments and try to learn from them. This was not actually okay. You know what I'm saying? If it was ever a time to boycott the NBA, it would have been when they said and showed that they were going to go after young black men based on how they dressed. If it was ever a time to do a little boycott or challenge the NBA, that would have been the time. Not all that other stuff you saw later.
So,
I had an NFL senior VP tell me last night that the Colts opening is the best NFL opening when division and young quarterback is considered
without question
in a decade, and that Brian Kelly's agent and Nick Saban's agent will take calls.
And I think that would be a mistake to go with a college guy. I think that's too high risk. And
who would you go with?
Hugh Jackson. Listen, this guy, what he's done in Cincinnati with Andy Dalton has been incredible. I think he's clearly the best assistant coach in the NFL this year. That guy, to me.
See, again, like, a lot of Jason Whitlock's takes are just attention-seeking attempts. You know what I'm saying? And when it is something that he could say that could actually be beneficial, like I say, he gonna look for a way to put a spin on it that, that makes it so you don't even want to listen to the nigga no more. You know what I'm saying? For some reason, like he does a great job of offending the listener. And I think you do it on purpose. Not to say that he don't want people to watch him, but I'm saying it's like the hate watching thing, like, that's a real thing. People go and watch videos of people they dislike. You know what I'm saying? That's a real thing. That really does happen. And people like him benefit from that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just watching the train waiting for it to wreck.
Jason Whitlock, he's Marcellus Wiley. That dude.
Yes, sir.
All right, welcome to Speak for Yourself, the most fearless show in sports, presented by Hyundai. We're joined today by LeVar Arrington, Rick Bucher, and Jim Jackson. Coming up, we'll have the most fearless discussion of the day. Is Deontay Wilder making a fool of himself by making excuses for his loss to Tyson Fury? But we start right here in L.A. All right, yes.
When things are going well for LeBron, I do dish out a lot of praise. But where LeBron is at right now, what has happened to him in the aftermath of the decision, I think has taken him to a place where he's not the best representation of himself. I think he's gotten caught up in social media. I think he's gotten caught up in a victim's mentality that I think is poisonous to us as Black people. So LeBron has pivoted, and I think he's misunderstood his rise and has pivoted to a place where he gets criticized by me.
The worst thing in the world.
I mean, it's crazy to be that much against LeBron because he supported BLM and he done spoke out on a few causes. LeBron is not like some super social activist, if you will. Like he done a few things, and shout out to him for that. But like, there's no need to add nothing extra to it. Like LeBron ain't that invested in the community like that. You know what I'm saying? To make it an attack on him. And again, salute to LeBron because he does do things in the community, but not to the degree where Jason Whitlock making it sound. Shit is crazy.
Is to be black in America. It's just not true. The worst thing to be in America and anywhere on the planet is poor. Go do the numbers, go through the stats. If you're poor.
That's what's up. However, that don't change the race issue. Like, that's always annoying as well when people do that right there. We talking about race, but somehow you switch it over to economics and what I'm saying? There's no understanding of why you shouldn't have did that.
Regardless of color, you're catching hell in America and on this planet. LeBron has risen above poverty to that special elevated place we have in this society where pretty much nothing can bother him. And to sit here and say that, oh my God, my house was vandalized in LA and on the eve of this greatest sporting event, I'm traumatized. It's just not true.
He didn't say it was traumatized.
I understand, but that was the way he postured and, the way, again, it was all said for the benefit of social media and Twitter. I'm fired up about it because, again, this is the Embrace Debate Network. That's what we label ourselves as.
Yeah.
And so I'm not out of bounds here when I say I watched Undisputed and saw Shannon Sharp today say the hardest thing is being black in America. I was just like, this is crazy. Have you ever tried to be a veteran that lost a leg in America? Have you ever been a poor person accused of
What? And that's what I'm saying, man. This shit only works when you're doing this shit like in a way where maybe it's not to do with sports. But as long as this is like affiliated and tied to sports, yeah, fam, you're gonna start sounding crazy. And I do think sports and politics started getting intertwined over the last few couple years way too much. Like there's definitely a lot of sports mixed in with politics, but having said that, like some of this is just it is like the attempt to be seen for no good reason. And then, like I say, you put Jason Whitlock in front of you, and again, all he gonna do is like overly coon. Like there's no benefit.
Crime and forced to go with a public defender in America of any color. It's if you're poor, regardless of color, you are catching hell. I've been poor. Shannon's been poor.
But if we're talking about race, why would you just skip to somebody being poor? That's I think where a lot of people's issue with Jason Whitlock is, the pivot, the you know what I'm saying, not to really say what you should be saying right there, and the quick pivot to go somewhere else outside of race and make it about economics when clearly the question should have been about race. I mean, the answer to the question should have been, racially motivated, if you will.
We know the difference. We know how good our lives are, and we don't need to pretend like, oh my God, this is so terrible what's happening to us. We need to be defending the poor and disadvantaged and talking about their issues. You and I can go back 10, 15 years into our history when I was an idiot about the Second Amendment. And I was on that little slippery slope of like, well, you can take away some of the guns and blah, blah, blah. I was an idiot. And I didn't believe at that point, like, well, the left isn't that crazy. Well, now I know they're that crazy,
No, I
and we
understand.
have to have our guns. And there's some lines in the sand we have to draw if we want a sane society that's safe for our kids.
All
And
right.
so
It makes
I
sense.
just
What you're saying
yeah.
makes sense. There has to be some kind of standard if you want to have a strong nation. Thank you for watching the No Spin News. To watch the full episode anytime on Bill O'Reilly.
And again, so positioning yourself around a bunch of conservatives just because you know that people will agree with you and you can grow through that lens, I don't know that's indicative of being good with politics or a real political pundit. But I think it moves a little faster than the sports. And so while Jason Whitlock used that algorithm of making a bunch of bad takes to grow, like I said, I think that time's kind of over with. Like, people aren't relying on individuals for their understanding or knowledge about the game. Like, not only can you go watch the game, but shit, you can go read about the game online. Like, everything, this stuff is all so much more accessible now. So I don't know. Jason Whitlock thinks that he can make a bunch of bad takes and somehow that's going to transfer into, later success. And I don't think so. I think he's going to end up in the same place where he was when he first got on YouTube. Like I say, it's all this different people came to YouTube, I guess, but all for the same reason. Because I do tie all of this back to like Megyn Kelly and some of the other people who came here first and kind of paid the way for people like him. And like I say, Megyn Kelly then came on here and just started completely wild and like doing the most. And I'm pretty sure she wanted to do that at Fox, but wasn't allowed. You know what I'm saying? But like, man, she be doing the most on here. So like I said, I just wanted to talk about this Jason Whitlock thing, because he's going viral every other month for trying to throw black people under the bus, and that's kind of really the only time you hear from him. And so right now, I think in this video, what I think I see is him trying to outdo Officer Tatum. You know what I'm saying? He wants to try to be the person with the better coon message, if that makes sense. He wants to have a better coon message than some of the others, but wow. All right, I'll be back here in the morning with the open panel. I got some questions about Tony Romo. I'm bringing Tony Romo to the table to ask the question, why isn't Tony Romo in the NFL Hall of Fame? And so I will be here after my first set of videos on my other channel. If you know any Cowboy fans, let them know. You know what I'm saying? We finna talk about one of their boys, because I'm a 49ers fan through and through. But yeah, I want to talk about Tony Romo and why he isn't in the Hall of Fame. So I'll see y'all in the morning.